Before we get to the reviews, Unoclay Gaming asked me to provide the audience you with this official explanation and disclaimer. Like many of you, I grew up using the word homebrew to refer to pretty much anything other than official commercial releases of software, i.e. homemade games. Then I started trying out some of these brews on Atari Lynx and telling the world what I thought of them. Just a spot of fun in an otherwise dark and hopeless world. All was well. This channel immediately received feedback telling me how stupid I am, recommending that I should KYS, and to get off YouTube, and to stop pretending anyone cares about anything I have to say. But most importantly, viewers resoundingly informed us that I was conflating and confounding the term homebrew, and in many cases took the time to add that I am an ugly, ugly man. This side of my face makes you actually bad for feeling alive, and in fact that my videos are really the final straw, the final straw. You can't take it. You're done. Goodbye, cruel world. Full stop. I'm not sure what he meant about that last part. Full stop. While the Unoclay Gaming channel remains devoted to bringing you the most pithy and trivial commentary on whatever manner of gaming flotsam we opt to dredge up, we want to offer our sincerest apology to the nerds who care deeply about homebrew-related technology. Words matter unquestionably. In the future, Unoclay Gaming will do our best to distinguish between different categories of homebrew, including commercial releases, professional homebrews, hacks and patches of existing software, leaked prototypes, tech demos, proof of concept, games made for contests, beta versions, revisions to earlier homebrew, and finally, just pure unadulterated shit games. Gotta love that Cuso. As a final clarification, this video series will retain the word homebrew in the title, and we will continue to include all manner of non-official releases under that same imprecise umbrella. However, rest assured, we will make some half-assed efforts to clarify these nuances in the reviews themselves, so long as we feel like doing it, or bother to remember. Thank you for your interest and continued support of the Unoclay Gaming Network. Together, we really are, and I truly mean this, making a difference in the world today. Enjoy.
Hello, hey, welcome to the reviews. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to do 6 more of these Atari homebrews in quotes, and some of these are different types of homebrews and different types of games. We'll try to be a little more specific this time out. Thanks for all the feedback I got from people who are watching the videos that I've already posted. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, first up this time is Berzerkoids, and I am playing all these games on a flash card from Retro HQ, the game drive as you can see there. Berserkers, you're going to recognize this if you're a classic gamer. This is a conversion game of the classic arcade game Berserk, as noted on AtariGamer.com. And also noted there's very little information, but it's 99% done, and it does run and play rather well. I'm going to say right off the top, I am not the biggest fan of this game ever. I played this when I was a kid. One of my neighbors up the hill from my grandmother's house had it for Atari 5200, and I always remember thinking I wouldn't have been able to put it this way, but it's a little bit of a rudimentary game. Now, in this conversion, it runs really well, and I want to give total respect. It's a lot of fun to play, and I can see myself going back to this one. You're going to see some problems with the capture in this one, where you're going to see some lines disappearing, especially at the beginning of the video there, where it seems like I disappear, and there you see the enemies kind of like cutting in. You see half of an enemy revealed on the screen, and I think that's my capture card in many cases. I may not have the settings quite precisely right, or the way that this game's presenting doesn't quite come across right. I haven't had this problem with other games, though, and I didn't, frankly, have the time to go back and fiddle with the capture card enough to try and figure out a way to get the screen. It captures it, as you can see, some of the time perfectly well. Now, there is some flicker and some disappearing sprites and things when Mr. Happy, I don't actually know if that's his name, the bouncing sprite face coming across the screen there, he did cause some strange graphical effects to happen natively when I'm playing on the Lynx. And as you can see here, it's kind of flickering in and out. And that would happen repeatedly. So it wasn't like specifically an error only with the capture card. But overall, this is a great little conversion. Atari Age lists the developer as Jum Hig, and it appears they have other arcade conversions such as Choplifter and Moon Runner, which I assume is Moon Patrol, possibly. Chopper X, I guess we can all take our guesses, and I'll maybe get to those eventually if they are up for download on the Atari Games database of ROMs. But this is great, and you should definitely check it out. It should definitely be in your collection. It is Berserk with a different name, and it runs well. It freezes up a little bit occasionally, and it flickers, but as you can see, I thought it was pretty decent and gave it a decent rating for graphics, sound effects, and the replay value is high. I admit, I try to be a tough grader. It's going to be rare that you're going to see a 5 out of 5 of anything for me, or at least I consider it rare, so I think this is a great one and definitely worth checking out.
All right, up next, we're going to look at Binax or Biniax. It's not a game I'd ever encountered before playing it here on the Lynx Homebrew Exploration. Now, this is a port of a popular puzzle game, according to the Atari Gamer website. And the developer looks like he's got a lot of other credits, or a couple other games for Lynx and a couple other out there. The guy that ported this is NOP90, Nope90, or Nop90, I'm not sure. And I googled him on the internet and saw he seems to be kind of developing games for all kinds of different systems. For 3DS, he's done some ports or development, and for some other stuff. You can look him up. So this is a puzzle game, and it's pretty simple, and therefore if you watch my other videos, you're going to know I'm going to give this one decent marks, because I think puzzle games have a lot of the best replay value for the homebrew scene, or at least they're what I'm looking for. Now in this one, you're going to see me die pretty early on, because I didn't read any instructions or know how to play, and here I am about to die. I am the little blue cursor in the bottom left, and I'm about to get squished and get a game over. So it's not a hard puzzle game to get into, and it's not hard to play for an extended period of time. So back to the home screen here, the start screen, good music at the death. I wish I would have let the death music play a little bit longer, and then good graphics. The background animation is a little hypnotic, but neat and not too abrasive. So the only goal is when you're moving your cursor, you have to touch a piece that has the color you are currently highlighting, and then your cursor changes to the opposite color that's part of the marker you touched. So you want to keep from getting trapped basically at the bottom of the screen, and you do that by clearing pieces. You can't clear a piece if you don't have one of the two colors matched to your cursor. So your cursor is constantly shifting to whatever the opposite color was from your match. And it's pretty forgiving, and this port doesn't have a lot of choices. It doesn't have like different difficulty modes or speed or anything else like that. So this is literally footage of my second time playing it with no instruction whatsoever, and you can see I'm kind of already getting the hang of it and moving around the board and getting a lot of last minute saves there as I'm at the bottom of the board and scraping by, because although I spent a good half hour playing this game, I never really was challenged too much other than just keep up, just keep up, keep moving pieces. It is a little bit hard to wrap your head around the strategic element of it, of like, okay, if I need green, should I go get that blue first in some order? And I'm not aware of any combo system or any other kind of reward system other than just clear the board and keep alive. So I'm not sure if you play this game like on a phone. According to Wikipedia, it's open source software game, popular, and it's been sequeled in 2007. And so this looks to be, according to screenshots I looked at, a very good port and very loyal to the game elsewhere. It has the same number of columns and same number of rows from what I saw in screenshots at a quick glance. So it's fun and kind of relaxing puzzle game, and you've pretty much seen it at this point. So I'm going to hit fast forward now and jump to the end of the video and then let you see my rating, because I last for a pretty long while here before I wipe out. So here we go. Now I'm moving. This would be a real challenge, right, if it was running at this speed. But no, in seriousness, I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna probably I'm gonna make a folder of the homebrews I play that I enjoy to a greater or lesser degree. And this will go in there, although I don't know what the replay value is going to really hold up. I ranked it a little higher here than maybe I truly feel the replay value deserves, because like I said, it doesn't have a lot of options to make it much harder. It's just kind of like, if you're once you grasp the basic concept, you just kind of like almost run out of patience and die. If you're like me, you just kind of, okay, I've had enough of this. It's neat, it's relaxing, it works very well, and it runs. But decent marks, and I look forward to playing some of the other games by the developer in question. Okay, up next is Bitchy. All right, I think this one has a little bit of a reputation, and that's because it is a little adult-themed. And according to the information on Atari Gamer and elsewhere that I Googled, it appears to be a prize. This game was given out as a prize by a developer named Rygar, and we actually have seen one of Rygar's games already in my review series. The audio stereogram is listed under his credits, as well as a few others that I haven't played. And it sounds like this is a rarity, having a physical copy of it. There, according to the literature available online, there were only 20 physical copies sold. I don't have information how the ROM got out, if he just distributed it after the fact, or if somebody ripped it. I'm not aware of how this stuff gets up. But, you can see what it is. It is a visual puzzle game. Now, I've sped up the video here because I played it for about 15 minutes, and I loved these kind of puzzles when I was a kid. And we all know they're a feature of many video games to solve a sliding puzzle some point in a game. Now, you can see I get kind of part of it going here at points of the puzzle. I have it very sped up here. This is running at 800% faster than it actually was played. But I lost patience with it, because if I want to see a naked Asian woman laying on the ground, I'm sure Google could pull that up for me. I'm all set here. I don't really need to play a video game like this. And it isn't as salacious even as I expected it to be with the title and a little bit of the reputation I'd spotted around. So I'll give it middle for graphics. It doesn't really have any sound or music, so you can't really rate that. The controls work adequately for what they are. And the replay value, I don't know if I'm coming back to this or not. Maybe I'll turn it on once or twice to see if it has any other puzzles or if I can solve them. All right, up next is Bobo, and this is one of those experiences that you get when you jump cold into these retro homebrew games, that I have no former experience with, and I just downloaded the ROM and I'm trying it out. So you're seeing me trying this out with no experience here. It's not like me playing it like half hour later and getting good at it. Turns out this is unfinished, and it is an arcade type game that appeared on a couple different computer platforms way back in the day, and I never encountered this. I am old enough who grew up playing Commodore and Amiga at friends' houses. I never had one. I was an Apple kid. Once I begged my parents for years to get me an Apple. And I never played this. The game is called Stir Crazy featuring Bobo, I believe, in the official releases. This is an attempted port, or someone attempted to develop Bobo for Atari Lynx, and it's just not finished. The developer is listed as Cooper, and he has a couple other games we've actually seen in other videos already, Atomics 2048, and this just seems like something that was never quite completed. It's kind of according to the videos I looked at and the reading I did, it's kind of like a mini game, arcade game, where there's lots of different scenes that you do. And he's a prisoner in jail, and you got to do a bunch of different mini games. I watched some videos of the Commodore version, looked pretty cool, Commodore 64. But I didn't know that in the footage you're seeing here, and it doesn't seem like you can pass out of this scene. If someone watches this and wants to comment and let me know that there's any way to leave this individual screen, it just didn't seem like I could do anything. It seemed like the animations, the sprite work was on its way to being complete for this scene, but the gameplay doesn't seem to work. All you can really do, it seems, is pacify the angry eater at the top of the screen there, that guy that's waving his fist and looks angry. I think you can kind of feed him, and then he goes back to eating, and then nothing happens. And you also see I don't have score happening or anything else. It just doesn't work. But it seems really ambitious, and it would have been cool. Reminds me of the Three Stooges a little bit, that kind of single screen puzzle arcade game, or not really puzzle. Reminds me of that, a game I always had a deep fondness for. So in terms of scoring, what can I say? The graphics, they're a little janky, but I think they might have been going for that because they got a lot in there on the Lynx, and it is reminiscent of what I saw on the other systems largely, and then nothing else is much finished or workable. So I can't really give it high ratings, but I still enjoyed trying it out. Very ambitious. Okay, up next is Booster, and This one I was really excited to try out because as soon as it loads up, you'll see it. There is a bit of a loading screen, which is really interesting. I know nothing about like development at this level or why it would be loading, but it's a large space that this game takes place in, and I suspect it's drawing the world that you maneuver in. But in any case, I was excited to play this one. And unfortunately, this is another one that isn't fully finished. But it is neat and playable to a degree. So right away you can tell it's a little bit reminiscent of something like Asteroids, a little bit reminiscent of Lunar Lander or Gravatar. And so both great arcade games that I am a huge fan of and love to play whenever I spot them at classic arcades. Another thing I'm very passionate about. And this just doesn't seem to be finished because, as you can see, you can pile it around, you can crash into walls, but you can't really seem to do anything else unless I'm missing something. And I actually ended up playing with this for quite a while because the physics are great. It's got a great sense of gravity. Maybe could have been tweaked to be a little more forgiving if this went to final development. Because you just basically have thrust, and that's all you got. You don't have a gun, you don't have anything else, and you can't seem to really interact with the environment around you much, other than to destroy it. And I do get to that a little bit more longer in the video here. So like by this point of the video, I was playing around and I was figuring out it doesn't seem like I can do much, or I'm missing something. And so anyway, it was very promising. I took a look at who the developer is now that I'm bothering to do such things. I apologize to former videos where I wasn't paying as much attention. And it turns out this person, this developer, also made Berzerkoids that was featured earlier in this episode, the Berserk clone port, and some other games that we'll be looking at in future episodes coming up. So neat stuff, very skilled, clearly. And this is listed as, I think, an in-progress demo on the Atari Gamer website. But given that it says work in progress, but given that this came out in 2005, according to that page, I don't know how much more progress is going to be made. But stranger things have happened. Maybe it's still in progress. So in a moment, I'm just going to hit fast forward on the video and give you. I think you've got the idea here. I just want to capture the part where I try to punch through the wall. Here's me also like just really realizing there's nothing to do here. There's a cool little ocean, reminds me of Pitfall 2 kind of at the bottom of the map, and that's all you can really do. Okay, just like, when you're a kid and you try to, remember when Super Mario Brothers blew your mind because you could run along the ceiling and it's almost like you're breaking the game. Who among us doesn't have that sensibility still? And I thought, oh, what if I can cut through the wall? Can I get out into outer space of the game world, like beyond the edge of the known universe here? So that's all I'm doing, because I was basically making my own game at this point. I'm like, okay, the game isn't quite finished, or I can't figure out how to play it, so I'll just mess around. This is something I've learned from watching my brother play video games, who often doesn't necessarily try to do the goal that's presented with him, but tries to mess around or break the game or have some fun. So yeah, a little bit more of that. I'm just trying to punch a hole in the universe, and now I can tell I'm just getting frustrated at this point. So now here we are in fast motion, because it took me a while to punch through because I was getting sloppy, and I do kind of get through, but I wanted to prove it to myself that you couldn't escape. And here's the moment of truth when I definitively cut through into outer space and nothing happens. The game ends. So hard to rate it a little bit because it is a game that's not finished. Again, this is kind of homebrew territory. How do you rate a game? But the controls, I wanted to almost give it perfect because it really works well. Because I just want to give total credit to how well this game worked. And then no sound effects, no music. And the replay value, I'm being a little generous there because I don't know if I'm going to go back to this that often, given that it's not finished. It's a neat curiosity, and I wish it would have had a little bit more time in the can to end up being playable, but it's really cool anyway. Okay, finally for this episode we're going to do one called Bubble Trouble, and it even has a mod which I hadn't seen in any other games in this collection, and this does seem to be a ROM that I collected scouring around the internet months ago that may have been a commercial release and maybe shouldn't be in my collection of homebrews at all. And I do apologize for that. I only actually found that out after I made this video, and looking around, the only copy I could even find for commercial sale at this time as of recording is nearly $200 on eBay. And I in no way meant anything offensive to the developers of this by playing this game and recording video of it. I wasn't aware of the source of it. And I honestly can't remember where I got it. I cobbled together ROMs from all different places across the internet when I was getting set up with my card. So in any case, I'm just going to review it and give it my opinion. And it is one of the highest quality games in this episode, in fact. It immediately calls to mind Todd's Adventures in Slime World. Anyone who's spent any time with that game can recognize that this is either in that engine or just a tribute or an imitation or uses assets of some sort. But it feels like Slime World, like a direct reference in every way. The font, the appearance, the sound effects are possibly straight from Slime World. I didn't do a one-to-one comparison. But here you just see me getting set up. I'm just playing around with the game. And then you get a really neat start screen here introducing the game. And I knew I was playing something special right away at this point. I thought, look at this animation. This is something else. Basically you're being sucked into a world of bubbles. I mean, that looks so much like the way the sprite scales at the bit in Slime World is just crazy. And I love Slime World. I don't know if everybody has the same opinion as me. I don't know if it's widely regarded as one of the great Lynx games, but for me, I always remember it as one. Now, as with the other games, I go into these cold and try playing them with no instructions without looking anything up at first. I like to see if I can figure the game out on my own and just be completely surprised without having seen any videos. Also contributing to my ignorance of like what I was playing here and that this may have been a game that was sold previously and somehow I ended up with an illicit copy of the ROM. So it seems like, you got to kind of traverse a maze, again, a little bit like Slime World, and collect objects and most likely move to the next screen. And I played this for about a half hour, and as you can see, I'm playing a lot of games that aren't finished in a lot of cases, or I'm playing a lot of games that are tributes or experiments. And so when I come to this one, I wasn't sure. Obviously, I'm like, is this done? Is this not? And I will say, like, the controls and the collision detection weren't necessarily working for me that well. And I totally have to say, I was playing it with the impression, thinking I'm playing a game that might have been, like, built in the Slime World engine as an experiment. And it turns out this may have been a game that was sold and finished, and I may just need to like put more time into it to get it and understand it, to play it better, and then therefore enjoy it more. Because to me, and this is just a reaction as a reviewer, it felt like a lot of promise, a lot of potential, very clearly something of like a different caliber of development of some other homebrews that are in different stages of completion. And yet, I wasn't sure if I was having fun. Just going to be blunt. Like it's kind of the way you control is a little confusing, and it's kind of a maze game where you're wandering around looking for something, and you can see it's just like Slime World. You have different options you can flip through, and then I discover that here. Okay, you use scanner, and I'm searching for items in the world, and so okay, I can look at this scanner and like use a radar to like figure out where I need to go, and all that's well and fine, and it works well. But I was quickly like kind of realizing like, I don't know if I'm really having that much fun. Maybe it was the end of the night and I'd been playing a couple games in a row and I just was done, and I do need to go back to this night entirely planned to. Moral quandaries aside about having a ROM that may have been dumped without the person's permission aside. But other than that issue, I'd like to figure out what's good about this game, or if I just don't understand it, or if it's just maybe a game that isn't for me, or any number of other feelings I might come up with if I spend a bit more time understanding it. So like I said, I played it for about a half hour and wandered around. I never really left this area. I was pretty much stuck in this area the whole time, getting attacked. You see my energy getting drained, trying to run away. And I will say, like, the controls a little bit, as I mentioned before, might be a hindrance to really, truly enjoying this game. It does feel like the choice of maneuverable, the kind of janky maneuverability or lack thereof for this hero is a little bit of the issue I was having, that it's kind of hard to get him to move in a straight line, and you end up bouncing off walls more than is even really fun. You're just trying to maneuver and you're getting stuck. See, I'm getting better at it, but I plan to play it more. It's very ambitious, neat game, neat idea, and apologies again to any devs that or persons involved with this game that may not like seeing the ROM floating around on the internet and just ending up in a collection like this. If the devs reach out to me and ask me to delete the ROM, I gladly will. I want to respect their intellectual property. So, gonna give it the highest marks in graphics. I don't give a lot of 5s, but the graphics are really great. The sound effects I debated over, I'll be honest. It was like a 4 or a 3 for me, because it does feel like maybe someone's glomming onto Slime World a little bit much. Good music, cool and original. Controls, I didn't want to mark it down to 3, so I gave it a 4, even though, like I said, I was having some issues with it. And replay value, kind of in the middle. Like I said, I'm not quite sure about it and how I feel about it overall. But it's a neat game. It's a neat effort, and it's hard to say you should play it, because if indeed it's an illegal ROM, then you should play it by whatever means are legitimate. But don't be swiping ROMs. It's not a good idea.
All right, so wrapping up, I think you got a pretty clear impression of what I thought was good, what was bad, and there are kind of 3 games in this collection this time that are really not that revisitable. So Bobo, Booster, they're not really done, and their curiosity is going to go in that kind of folder that are neat experiments or partly finished games. Bubble Trouble gets its own asterisk, as I covered in detail, which is that it is a commercial game and isn't exactly a homebrew, but it is a original library game also, kind of developed outside the normal commercial cycle for the Lynx, handheld console. Bitchy, what to say that hasn't already been said. Probably not going to go back to it too often, but it's a comic thing to have in your collection, right? So that leaves Binax and Berzerkoids as maybe the most replayable things in the collection for me this time. Binax, I wish it had a little bit of adjustable difficulty or some different modes, and Berserkers has some flicker issues that were beyond just the capture card issues. But maybe Berserkers would be the one I go back to most out of this one. And if I don't delete Bubble Trouble just right out of hand, out of my collection, to be to just be done with it, maybe I'll mess around with it some more. I looked around the internet, and it's on a ton of ROM sites, although I did not get it from there. I just got a couple dumps of large collections of ROMs, and it must have been in one of those. I was trying to figure it out. In summary, had a good time with these games. As always, I recommend trying them out. AtariGamer.com and other places on the web where you can emulate these games and check them out. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for a special message.
Hello again! Stuck around to the end, did ya? You're a viewer with a real active social life, I'm guessing. Or you're a climber, obsessively interested in defunct video games. Or you're a lady killer with an immaculate bedside manner. Know what I mean? Ha! 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 I'm kidding. I don't have a lot of reasons to get out of the house either. Just stuck here playing video games, waiting for the world to end and put us all out of our misery. Ha! 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 Jokes aside, thank you for watching. No matter what I might have said about a given piece of software, I'm sincerely glad it exists. I'm glad I tried it out, and I appreciate the hard work that goes into the development of even a flawed demo or glitchy final product. I'm not here to trash anyone's baby, because baby trashing is distasteful. Share, like, comment down below, or better yet, close the window without leaving me a single comment or word of encouragement. Otherwise, I might just keep doing this. Some video games. Relax.
I don't know what just happened. I don't know if that worked or not. What the fuck?
I don't know if my voice was as gravelly. I think I need to get my voice gravelier. I think I need to be gravelier. I was very gravelly in the original video. I think I was pretty gravelly in the original video.
It's a winner. Good stuff.